Good morning and happy new year, everybody. Welcome to the 1-year anniversary show and the first show of 2025 of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. So use our code NATION, NATION in all capitals. We got a great show for you today. We got Pat Maroon coming on and Frank Seravalli, who we haven't heard from in quite a bit. So we've been missing Frank a little bit on this show. I'm excited to catch up with him, excited to hear from Pat about the Winter Classic and his thoughts of the overall spectacle. But before we do that, I think we have to take care of an order of business, which is USA beating Canada. Colby's
well,
got
wait, hold on. How was
what?
your New Year's Eve? We had no New Year's Day show, so
Yeah.
I want everybody here to know that throughout the weekend of the Winter Classic, I probably received about half a dozen different people reaching out to me about Johnny's antics at the
You
Winter
make half a dozen sound like a lot when it's just 4 or 5 people.
Half a dozen is 6.
I know, but you make it sound like it's a lot more than it actually was. It was
for the record, about half a dozen people reached out to me. I got pictures from people. I got quotes, a lot of different things. And it caps it all off with the fact that Johnny actually flew home yesterday wearing a Chicago Blackhawks jersey, like an 11-year-old who just got a jersey for Christmas and then had to fly home with it. They were cool jerseys, though. I'll give you that much.
I couldn't fit it in my bag, so I just threw it on.
It's about the only thing the Blackhawks did right at the Winter Classic. But we'll save the Winter Classic talk for Pat. But how was New Year's Eve? I mean, I would assume it was fun when you were surrounded by all of those people that are your friends, but also people that like to send me dirt on you.
Well, I didn't spend New Year's Eve with the guys who sent you dirt on me. I think that's why they sent the dirt. Because it's tough. Like, on these trips, sometimes everyone has their own crew, right? Like the Chicklets guys, the Empty Netters guys, the What Chaos, they're all with their people. And I was there like doing my own kind of content. So I was like pulled in many different directions on what to do on New Year's Eve. But because the NHL had me out for the game, I was doing stuff with the NHL all day on New Year's Eve, and I went to the NHL New Year's Eve party, which was a lot of fun. I have a lot of friends, obviously, who work with the league as well. And I mean, do you want me to mention the girl? Is that where you're leaning? Is that
no? That's not. I mean, you did tweet. Listen, when you tweet at 4:36 in the morning that you think you fell in love,
3:36 local. 3:36 local.
I mean, that seems like relevant information for people who listen to our show. But I mean, we don't have to talk about that. I mean, I am dying to talk about USA Canada. The chat's buzzing about USA Canada, but.
I'll talk about her really quick. It's a comeback story. So the NHL put me up in a suite for the game because I was doing stuff with them in Amazon for the actual Winter Classic. And in the suite next to us, I saw this girl. I thought she was really pretty. Noticed her smile right away. I started talking to her. And like within 30 seconds of talking to her, this guy walked over and like started being like a little bit protective. So my friends were like, it's got to be her boyfriend. Like maybe you just shouldn't talk to her. So the rest of the game, I didn't really talk to her at all. Would smile here and there, but like, nothing crazy. And then at the NHL New Year's party, she was there, but this is like after midnight. I saw her. I didn't see her until after midnight. The New Year's party was at the House of Blues. So there was like, over 1,000 people there. But I started talking to her at the New Year's party and I was like, where's that guy you were with the game today? And she's like, what guy? I was like, I don't know. I thought you had a boyfriend. And she's like, no, I don't have a boyfriend. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then, I told all my friends, like, guys, like, she doesn't have a boyfriend. Like, we started celebrating basically that she was single. And then, I talked to her like the rest of the night. We sat in the lobby with some NHL employees and, people I know at the league till like 4 a.m. Nicole Buckley was down there. She's the best. And it was a great night. So
did Gary Bettman vet her for you or no?
No, but everyone in the NHL was propping me up, which I really appreciate. And I didn't pay anyone to do it. So it was nice.
All right. Well, nice. The Johnny Love story continues. Yeah. For those of you that are new to our show, this goes back to ice skating dates last year. Bringing his own skates on the train and through Uber.
Looking for love, guys.
Planes, trains, and automobiles for Johnny Sunshine and Rainbows. So let's jump into USA versus Canada because that seems to be a pretty big topic in our chat right now, and I think we wanted to start there anyway. And let me just start with an opening statement about USA Canada. look, you could see I'm decked out today for obvious reasons, but that was a phenomenal hockey game. And I know Canada doesn't come out on the right side of that thing, but I would have to think the Canadian hockey fans, and I think it was Olivia in the chat. I would think Jeff, or any of the Canadians that are here, like, I get it. You want to win this game. It means everything to people in Canada, but it was a great hockey game. I mean, this felt like a game from the Stanley Cup Finals,
as it always is. USA Canada, no matter what.
As far as the jam in this game, I mean, look, there's you're talking about so many high-end talented players, and they're all playing with 1,000% motivation and jam, and normal 100% is 120%. And the goaltender for the Team USA really stood up, and this was every whistle in the first period. I mean, it was great to see. Like, I loved the way both teams handled it. Now, I know Canada paraded to the penalty box and they were very undisciplined. And I also thought the refs, the refs, I don't think did a great job, as I never think IIHF refs did a bad job. Like, I thought 2 penalties in a row they called in that game. The first one was on Leonard, meaning it was a little bit of a shot to Leonard. I thought Leonard went down way too easy. I thought it was a dive, and I've called Leonard out for diving before on NCAA games. I mean, I love watching him play hockey, but he dives a little bit. And I thought that was a bad call, and US goes to the power play and scores, right? And then I thought there was a one-handed slashing penalty that then got called on the Americans, which I thought was maybe a little bit of a makeup call. I think it was on Dickinson. I'm not 100% sure.
Jeff just wrote in the chat the Dickinson call was awful. Yeah, so I think that's.
Oh, so that's about. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I see that. So, but listen, you just know it going in, and now I see what Jeff is saying here. Yeah, like, you just know going in, and Canada has to be a lot more disciplined, right? I mean, you can't put that group of players on the power play that often. And funny enough, it was actually the Americans' second power play unit that did the damage. Like, both the Cole Hudson goal and the Cole Hudson primary assist, the 2 power play goals, like, those were both the second unit. Like, that was not the BC unit, which also features Zeev Buyam. And the second unit gets out, and then it was sort of a bit of a broken unit on the last power play goal, which was by Cole Eiserman. It was like halfway through a change. But I got to tell you, like, it was a great hockey game. Like, I think that even if USA loses that game, I still would have walked away feeling like, wow, that was really entertaining. I mean, I watched the whole game. I kept looking at the time on my phone during the Winter Classic because that was awful, and thinking, like, is it 8:00 yet? Is it 8:00 yet? And that was must-see TV.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the game. Like, I saw highlights of it here and there. I didn't get to sit down and actually watch it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have an opinion on the game. But I did see the quote from Gavin McKenna saying that, he thought Canada dominated at 5-on-5. And I got to ask you, as someone who watched that game, you take away all the goals, which were all on the power play. Like, what do you make of the momentum shifts in that game? Did Canada control it for the most part?
I don't agree with the fact that they dominated the game. I thought, there were ebbs and flows to the game, 5-on-5, where Canada looked really good. But let's go deeper into that. Like, yeah, Canada possesses the puck well, but they don't get to the inside. Like, how many times on this show? How many times on this show do we talk about teams that hold on to the puck and possess the puck, but not in the right areas of the ice? Canada just unable to really lean in, right? They picked this team full of guys that were maybe a little bit less skilled, but maybe a little bit heavier. When you leave all those other high-end players off your roster that are big-time point getters, but maybe they don't have heavy skill types of players. So you bring those types of players on your Canadian roster, and they're just not, like, they didn't make it hard enough on Trey Augustine. They had good looks, but Augustine could see the puck.
Couple posts here and there, though. McKenna had that post coming
But listen, Ryan Leonard hit a post. I mean, look, you want to go tit for tat with that type of thing. I'm I'm sorry. I just grade A scoring chances. Like, I bet you they were pretty even. I think
Shots on goal
overall
don't always
scoring
tell the
chances
story.
were 18-17 were the overall scoring chances. But like the Canadian goaltender had bodies on him all night. Team USA was hacking and whacking. And look, I thought Canadian, he played well. What's his last name? George, the Canadian goaltender. I thought he played well. Jeff. USA hit 3 posts, Canada hit 2. So I thought McKenna hit 1 too, actually.
Yeah,
Jeff.
McKenna hit one.
So it might have been 3 apiece. But again, this goes, look, it goes back to how important special teams can be, right? Because it's not as if Canada didn't have chances on the power play. Now, they did score a beautiful power play goal. I mean, like, beautiful seam pass, where the U.S. has done a phenomenal job not allowing those seam plays on the kill most of the game. But like, beautiful power play goal. I mean, like, the one time, I think Nadeau buried a one-timer, picture perfect seam pass. But ultimately, they didn't have an answer for Cole Hudson coming downhill all game. I mean, like, he just, to me, was the US's best player. Every time he was on the ice, he controlled the game. And before the show started, Vic said to me, who's better, Cole or Lane? Well, look, Lane is almost a point. Like, Lane is what, 26 points in the NHL in 35 games. Like, how could you say Cole right now?
I still think they're both a little different, though. Like, I know there's
very
a lot of
different
similarities between the two, but like, I think Cole is so much more poised and controlled than Lane is. Like,
I don't think poised. I don't think poise is the right word. That I would push back on you.
In what sense?
Well, I mean, look, Lane Hudson has as much poise with the puck as any hockey player I've maybe ever seen at the college level.
I guess maybe he just looks like he's going a million miles an hour, so it doesn't seem as poised.
He's very poised. I mean, Johnny, like, the plays that he makes along the offensive blue line, even though he's moving, you still need poise. You still need poise.
Fair point.
Here's what I and that's a great point by Marco. He said Cole has a better shot. Absolutely. It's one area Lane needs to improve. But what I would say when you're talking about these two is, and it's funny, like, I was texting with Lane during the game, right? And I said, it's so interesting because you and your brother end up in the exact same spots on the ice and you make the exact same plays, but it's so different about like how you go about getting to that point. Like, it really is very different. Now, they achieve the same things and they even make the same plays, but it just, the way they arrive into the places that they get is just so different.
It feels like the game slows down when Cole has the puck, where maybe it feels like the game speeds up a little bit when Lane has it. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. I guess like the pace they play at is different. Like,
I don't think people realize
by poised.
I don't think people realize that how quick of a skater Lane is. Like, Lane is very quick. Cole might be faster, but Lane is quicker. Like, Lane has those fast twitch muscles that few players have at that, able to have the fast twitch feet, have the fast
first
twitch
3 steps,
put everything together. And Lane's been able to elevate that at the NHL level. So who ends up being better? I don't know the answer to that, but right now you've got Lane Hudson in the best league in the world doing things that are unspeakable. And you look at Lane's freshman year at BU, he had 48 points as a freshman. Cole's got 14 points in 16 games. But like, I just thought overall, it was as good a game as I think I've seen all season, because it looked like an NHL playoff game. And I will say this, though, it bothers me of the talent, though, that Canada doesn't have, and forget Celebrini and Bedard. I'm just talking, like, I really would love to see more like Martone. He's not being used a whole lot. We talk about Michael Misa on this show. He's like, he didn't even make the team. You talk about some of those defensemen that didn't make the team. Like, it is a little bit disappointing with the guys that they brought. and the way that they've played, because I'd love to see Misa and some of those guys go head to head with Leonard, Higgins, and Perot on the big time stage.
Yeah, and what did you make of? I think Cole said something about like it's better than the gold medal game, being them in their own country.
Well, I
What
don't
was
think
he
he said it's
referring
better
to?
than the gold medal game. I think he said there's nothing better than beating Canada in their home
I thought
country.
there was some sort of reference about a gold medal game. Let me.
Well,
try to
look,
find what he said.
Cole has like an attitude, like a good, like I like it. He plays with a little bit more.
Yeah, he said
You know,
it feels even better than the gold medal game, beating them in their home country. I don't think it gets much better than that.
okay, yeah, I didn't see the gold medal part. But look, he scored that first goal of the game, and then he went like, I mean, it's USA versus Canada. It's gonna have that type of jam. Now, here's what I will say: it's difficult to beat a team twice in a tournament like that, a Canada or a US. So, I think that I think I would love to see another U.S. Canada game, especially in a knockout situation.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really difficult for Team USA to beat them again. Although, look, Trey Augustine to me is the ability to be the sole difference maker.
What do you make of this comment though from Steve Rosen? No disrespect to Cole, but he's getting more respect because his brother is succeeding in the NHL. Do you think that goes hand in hand? I don't know if that's true.
I mean, listen, I think Cole Hudson, look what Cole Hudson did at the U.S. national team. He set records for points for a defenseman. Like, he had higher numbers. He got injured last year and he wasn't really able to play the second part of the season. He was dealing with an ankle injury. He came back right before U18 Worlds and he was like 50% healthy for U18. So I think he would have had an opportunity. Well, he was drafted higher than his brother, I think, right?
I think if anything, it might be like the opposite effect, where because Lane's doing so well in the NHL, it might actually like hinder the ceiling of Cole in some sense, where like, now we're talking about Cole not being better than Lane because Lane's doing well in the NHL, where
Yeah.
Cole alone, like, who knows what we'd be saying.
Well, yeah, and I think we all heard that Cole Hudson was going to be the best brother.
Cole was the second rounder.
Yeah, they were both second rounders.
Yeah.
But I think Lane was picked in like later in the second round, and I think Cole was like mid second round. I want to say Cole was in the 40s and Lane was like late 50s, maybe something like that. So, or maybe even 60th, something along those lines. I don't know.
43rd.
Okay. So yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that comment, Steve. I know what you're saying, because I think that I think
Lane
that
62nd.
that does happen. But look, I don't think Luke Tuck is getting propped up more because his brother is Alex Tuck, right? Like, I don't think that's happening. I think Luke's in the American League for Montreal. And we know what type of player Alex is. So, have you talked to Pat this morning? I know we're expecting him around.
I just texted him right now. Yeah.
Okay. I know we're expecting him around 9:15, and then we have Frank coming on, 9:35ish in that range of time. So, look, I hope this tournament continues to do well.
5 games today.
The tournament does.
Mm-hmm. Starting at 11 a.m., Germany versus Kazakhstan, Latvia versus Sweden, Switzerland versus USA, Slovakia versus Finland, and Canada versus Czechia tonight.
Let me ask you, Sharma, because I see you in the chat, and Jeff.
Pat's coming on now, by the way.
Feel free to jump in here as well. But what do you think of Easton Cowan and the way he's played? He looks like he's probably put a little too much pressure on himself, and he's getting all this hate on social media, which is. It's pretty obnoxious when you go to a teenager's social media and you're hate tweeting him and hate commenting on his Instagrams and this and that. But I got to tell you, like, him trying to do too much has led him down a path of really not playing very well. I mean, he doesn't look like a player that's engaged and focused in the right manners. And maybe that's the pressure that you deal with when you're a Canadian player playing in the World Juniors, especially on your home soil.
Yeah, but with that too, people knocking a 19-year-old and listen, I think it's okay to criticize someone for how they're playing, but if the effort is there, like if Cowan is playing balls to the walls, it's something that I think should be a little bit in his favor, right? Like people can knock effort, but I don't know if you can knock how Cowan's trying out there, right? Like if he's doing too much, if he's trying to overcompensate. I mean, listen, maybe it's not the key to success for him, but be blasting this guy in his Instagram. I know Vic was sending us all the comments last night. Like, I don't know. There are people that are just different when it comes to being online. I know there are people that log on to just criticize and ridicule people, and that's not where we are. But yeah, these fans in Canada, man, they're crazy. And Jeff and I were talking about it on the sheet actually on New Year's Eve and how much this game means to people in Canada. Probably more than I don't know if more than it means to other countries, but the World Juniors is definitely Canada's tournament, right? Like no matter where it's played, I think the Canadians and Hockey Canada and Canadian fans probably take the most pride in this tournament. I don't think like that's a stretch to say.
Oh, of course it's not a stretch to say. It's why I always say that the tournament should be in Canada because they just host it better. And their fans show up and show out. And I'll be really interested to see what it feels like next year in Minnesota. Like the one thing in Canada is like they show up to games even Canada's not playing in. Mm-hmm. Will that happen in Minnesota? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe they will. Like Minnesota is obviously pretty kind of special when it comes to hockey in the United States. Like I think they kind of stand alone. I mean, you just look at all the numbers. I think I retweeted Glenn Heffron's data about college hockey and incoming Division I players and where they're from. I think those reports are super fascinating. So if you haven't looked at that, you can see where all of the Division I hockey players in the United States, which now affects Canada in a big way, where they are coming from. But like Minnesota, 73 Division I freshmen out of the state of Minnesota. It's 24.75% of total Division I freshmen coming out of one state. I mean, they're doing something right in Minnesota when it comes to hockey. Like you can't deny it. Data is data. And I know data doesn't tell a full story, but it certainly tells a big enough story. So let's get to Pat here. We'll see what happens. Look, I think what we'll try to do is as we get towards the end of the tournament over the next couple of days, we should definitely try to have Stephen Ellis and Jeff on maybe early next week and try to get a wrap sort of on the World Juniors, but it is something we'll continue to cover.
Yeah, 100%. And before we bring on Pat Maroon, just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15. So let's bring on our friend, Pat Maroon. Pat, Happy New Year. You've been doing the media tour the last couple of days too. You've done everything, I think, when it comes to interviews and content and all that stuff around the Winter Classic. So how you feeling this morning?
Happy New Year's. I'm a little tired. I'm not going to lie. I still have family in town, but it's been great. The Winter Classic was great, but obviously it's not the outcome we wanted. But yeah, it's been a fun time because this is a time where you have family in town, you have people in town, and for me personally, you get to see people that you don't see for a while. So it's been great.
Like Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh. Did Johnny tell you he fell?
No, he did not.
It was in the video.
Pat, we started the show where I was talking about all the people that texted me from different circles of the NHL about how Johnny was in the running for least valuable LVP of the Winter Classic. And I heard this from multiple sources, right? So I know he was hanging around you, and it sounds like his antics stood true when he was with you.
It was so funny. He's like, all right, you got to do this. And I was like, he's like, do you smile? Like, we're supposed to have... So he restarts his video. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me you were starting the video. Like, what? Like, he's like, you got to act like you like me. And I'm like, But I know you were telling me you were starting this video. So he starts doing the video, and there's this little hockey net that like
Biz and like Bedard were doing like a target shooting on it, like a pond hockey net.
Like a pond hockey net, and he trips over it, almost fall. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, we're off to a hot start right now.
Yeah.
But we had fun. It was great. I think you guys do such a great job. Like you, Biz, Wit. There's other guys there that, that help out a lot with the NHL, and you guys do such a great job of just promoting and bringing out the best in personality. And I think the NHL sometimes needs that.
We try to make it fun. Yeah, we try to make it more fun,
I love the Lottie sweatshirt you got on right now too. That was our neighborhood spot when I lived in Chicago. We used to before my wife got pregnant the first time, we used to spend nice days hanging out, sitting out on the patio at Lottie's, making our way in there. So I like that you got the sweatshirt.
I took my brother-in-law last night for a little bit, and it's my favorite spot in Chicago, I think. The people are so friendly there.
It's not her. No, because
Okay,
yeah.
shh. And
Here, just take the scissors and play with these.
yeah. But Cole, did you like it?
Yeah, it's a great spot. Are you kidding me? It has that sort of, it has kind of a college bar feel, neighborhoody college bar type of feel. So we always enjoyed it. Good bar food, good spot to go watch a game. Definitely a good spot in Chicago.
No, it's one of my favorites, and but it's one of my favorite spots. I love it. I got to know the owner, and now I've bought sweatshirts, hats. So no, I'm part of it now.
Pat, just leaning back into the Winter Classic in itself, you're there for practice, you're there the next day for the game. There's so much going on around it. What to you, outside of the game was the coolest part of the entire spectacle of the event?
Well, I think so. We walk out, we go to the dugout, right? And we're in the dugout. Smashing Pumpkins starts, and I'm like, "Holy shit! I didn't think they were going to sing, right?"
Yeah,
they were going to sing in intermission because we don't know, right? We don't get anything in these games. So we're in the dugout. They start. They come to us. They're like, "All right, Peter, start walking up." We start walking up, and they're singing. And for me, that was like, I love Smashing Pumpkins. They're fun. And it was like one of the coolest moments I've ever been a part of. Like, they're singing. You look around. There's 40,000 plus in the stands. And we stop. They stop singing. National anthem hits. He's on the dugout. And to me, I thought, because I got kind of teary-eyed a little bit because he starts singing. They don't roll the flag out until like 10 seconds into the national anthem. Then they start rolling it out. And I was like, fireworks. They're rolling out the flag. So I was just like, all right, this is it. It was just cool. You looking around, and then the flyover. I think the flyover is my favorite part.
Yeah. It was loud too. Like, it was a lot of "Let's Go Blues." It was back and forth to start the game there. Like, the crowds were very 50-50, I thought. Like, it was insanely loud.
Yeah, it was.
What did you think of Jim Cornelius? Like, how good was the anthem? Like, that's my favorite part. That guy is like, even on TV, you get the chills when he sings the national anthem. I mean, like,
he's the
I'll
best.
be honest, Pat, you guys are not appointment TV right now. I'm going to be honest with you, but I will come to the beginning of a Blackhawks game just to watch Jim Cornelius. Like, I'll stand up in my house even sometimes. He's so good, and he's so passionate when he sings that song. Like, it just gives me the goosebumps every time.
It's the best national anthem in the league. There's nothing better. Visiting team, if you play for the Blackhawks, there's nothing better than watching that guy sing the national anthem. And the way they scream, they clap. and I didn't know how it was going to be. Like, you see it at the United Center.
Mhm.
Fans are passionate. They sing the national anthem, and to have, that's your best friend. Okay, thanks. You see that with 40,000 fans, and to have that night when he's on the dugout, and the best is when they point to the flag. Like, that's my favorite thing about the national anthem, and he does such a great job with it. But like I said, I didn't know how loud it was going to be, but it was loud.
Yeah.
When they start screaming and they clap, like when I played them in Game 7 when I was with Anaheim, like, it was still the loudest national anthem I've ever been a part of.
Let me ask you this, though, because you just brought up Anaheim. Like, I'm assuming you're pretty friendly with Cam Fowler, right? Like, knowing he's playing his 1,000th game outdoor, he opens up the scoring. Obviously, you're pissed that you got scored, like your team got scored on, but like in that same breath, are you appreciative of how cool that moment must have been for a guy that you know?
Yeah, I mean, he texted me that morning and goes, because I texted him the night before and I said, "Congratulations, your 1,000th game." He goes, "Hey, Big Rig, it's C4 here. I just want to say thank you so much. Let's have fun today." And for me, that's great. Like, it's true though. Like, when you play in these situations, you play in these games, like, these are the moments you want to have fun in. These are the moments you want to obviously work hard. You want to win. But it's like it brings you back to that childhood memory of playing outside and being a part of with your buddies, your friends, and it just brings you back to those situations. And to have him score, obviously against us, I didn't like it, but to have that moment, he's playing his 1,000th game in the Winter Classic, outdoors, his family and friends are there, and for him to score 2 goals, I mean,
Yeah, the first goal too. Like, that's so sick.
you can't write a better script than that. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure he would love to play 1,000 game with Anaheim, but obviously that didn't work out. But to have him have that moment and be a part of that is pretty special.
Colby,
Go ahead, Johnny. I was gonna let you follow up. I thought
I didn't have a follow up. No, I thought that was pretty cool.
What do you don't have questions or what?
Johnny gets a little starstruck at times, Pat. Now that he got to see you in real life and you pretended like you liked him and you pretended that you knew him and everything like that, I think he's still probably trying to, gather his thoughts and
come on
and all his emotions.
Love you, Pat.
What? Let me ask you, because we were talking about this and you did do, like, we saw you do the basketball thing with the Chicklets guys. You did you were just kind of like buzzing around. Was the team putting you up to all that because they know you're not afraid to go have like a personality and do these things? Or, were these things like you wanted to do because you're setting up your media career for the day you hang up those skates? Like, because honestly, you really were like everywhere. I mean, which I think is great because people identify with you and they love you. I mean, you're one of these guys that, every market it loves. It's hard to find Pat Maroon haters.
No.
Besides Brandon Montour.
Wait, you still find haters?
Yeah, Brandon Montour is the one and only.
No, but obviously the big ones. I went to Spit Chicklets. I went around. I met Jordan Schmaltz in the Hockey Night in Canada. I did that little live show. So we did a lot of things, but for me, I think it's great because listen, you get to see everyone. You get to see past players, present players. You get to be a part of something. Like I said before, it's a special event. You get to be part of it, and you get to see alumni, whatever. Like I said, but for me, I enjoy it because I get to be a part of. For me, my family gets to come, my kid gets to come, everyone gets to come, and they get to see and witness and listen, to all the answers, all the questions I have, right? So I think that's really special because they get to see the moments that, I grew up obviously playing the game I love, but they get to have the opportunity to come with me and be a part of it, which I really enjoy. And it's great. So I took my son, my mom and dad, they all come with me. And it's like a rodeo.
Yeah, Pat was running around the locker room, like chasing his kids, like while I was down there, just going back and forth. I was like, dude, how many times are you gonna run back and forth? And I actually got to talk to Anthony a little bit, which was cool. I spoke to him for like 5 minutes and picked his brain about playing U16 out here on Long Island. And Anthony was standing next to me when Connor walked by, and I was like, Anthony gave Bedard the what's up, man? And I was like, is that your boy? He goes, yeah, he's like my favorite player. And then he goes, I think he likes me. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't he? He's only like 3 years older than you. Like, kind of crazy that there is a 3-year age gap between your son and like Connor Bedard.
Yeah, it's kind of, it is like for me, hockey players are the best. And I'll tell you this because when I was in Long Island for the whole week, we were the New York trip, and I brought my kids' team, and everyone takes the time to say hi to these kids. They don't have to do that. And for me, I think that's special. And Anthony gets to see what I do for a living and how hard it is, and the ups and downs, the highs and lows. And for him to be a part of this, obviously the Winter Classic, or in general, just anything. And hockey players are just the best. They take the time, they say hi, they talk to these kids, and they give them life lessons. And like to be a part of that, it's awesome. Like Nick Foligno, for example, brought the entire team in the room, talks to them for 15 minutes, and like what it takes to be a leader and to make it to the NHL. And those are the moments I'll remember when I retire because it's special. Like he didn't have to do that, but he wanted to. And Connor takes the time for Anthony. Maybe he doesn't want to, but he is. And I think those moments are cool for me to see that as a father, have my kid come in and share these moments with him. And it's awesome. And it probably is exhausting for these guys, but those are the best.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that's what we talked about on this show. The Winter Classic, it's kind of become more than just a game. It's all about the events surrounding it, but there is a hockey game, right? And there is 2 points on the line. And, from the quotes that came out of the locker room after the game, Pat, like Taylor Hall, I'm shocked at how we played. It's just so disappointing. Our fans have been through so much. They came and supported us and we laid an egg. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. What's the mood around the team right now? And like, I hate to go there, but we can't have you on and not ask you about it because it's you guys you got that new coach bump when Anders came in. You guys won some really good hockey games, and then things are sort of going the wrong way, right? And you're a veteran in that locker room. I think a lot of people look to you probably to help try to steady the hand and steady the ship. So what do you think right now is the way out of this sort of tailspin that you guys are kind of dealing with? And unfortunately, yeah, it's 2 points, but it's 2 points on such a big level that there's no hiding from that game.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That loss was tough. For me personally, I go back and sit down in the room. It's quiet. I felt like we lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs because you look at the league and you see all the games you play. You look at the schedule. You mark this one on your calendar, right? Like this is the best game. If you're any team and you're playing in the Winter Classic, you mark this on your calendar. This is like a playoff atmosphere, playoff game. And it's unfortunate that we did this. And I feel bad for the fans, myself included. Because as leadership or as players, and when you put the Blackhawk jersey on, there's so much history around it. You want to be want to be elevated and you want to get to your game. And like you said, we had these 3-game winning streak. We played well, and then we laid in Calgary. And it's kind of been trickling where it's like it's going the other way. And unfortunately, we got to figure this out soon for ourselves. I think we have to have pride and like just working hard and somehow getting out of it. You can never skill your way out of playing the NHL. The NHL is good. You're going to get the best from everyone every single night. And we just have to go back to the basics. We talked about this all the time, Colby and Johnny. It's just simple hockey. Dump it in, go to work, break it out, flip it out. When you're in trouble, use the blue lines as your guideline to make a simple play. And I think we just got to get back to that. It's been frustrating for all of us. And like I said, I feel bad. And it's sad because we did on one of the biggest stages. like before the playoffs. Like that's the TV game.
Yeah.
And we embarrass ourselves. And sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror as yourself, as a leader, as a player. And I think we'll get there. I just think we have such a good team and good group of guys. So we'll get to that point where we just need to understand a little more fundamentals of like, we don't need to chase offense. We don't need to do this. We just need to go back to the basics, play offense, and play a simple hockey brand of game. It's just 50-50 battles and working hard.
Well, Pat, we appreciate the transparency, and we appreciate you taking the time this morning. But we'll let you go now. We love talking to you always. We hope you had a great New Year's Eve and a good start to the year, and you got another chance to fix it tomorrow night against the Montreal Canadiens at home. So we'll be watching that game tomorrow night and rooting for you guys. I don't know if Colby told you, but I was decked out in my Blackhawks gear yesterday, flying home.
Flew home in a Blackhawks jersey.
Yeah, team stinks right now.
All right, Pat.
Maybe
Happy
it's my
New
fault.
Year, pal, and good luck with the scissors and your daughter here as we let you go off the show today. Thanks for your time, bud.
Hey, happy New Year, fellas, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best, and the Spit and Chicklets boys love you guys. I know that because
Not me right now.
they also tune in live all the time. So
Yeah, they chirp Johnny in the chat. We see it.
oh, they did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Pat. Have
Love
a
you,
good one,
Pat.
man.
Thank you. Talk soon.
All right, let's roll that one over and let's get to Frank Seravalli here quickly. I'm sure no we never need to give Frank material to come right for you, but naturally we provided him with some. So hey Frank, thanks for coming on. I know your Thursdays are jammed, but it's good to see you again, man.
Yeah, happy New Year, guys. And Johnny, I just have so many questions based on your trip to Chicago, but I'll save those for another time.
You can ask him whenever you want.
I don't want to wait. We don't have a lot of time, and I really do have hockey questions for Frank, because we haven't been able to connect with him with his travel schedule. And there's a couple of guys now that it's January 2nd. We are in 2025, which means there are expiring contracts that will be happening for very, very big name players. And I feel like the next 2 to 3 months, well, when's the trade deadline? Do you know?
March 7th.
So we've got a couple months until March 7th. And there are names like Mitch Marner and John Tavares and Mikko Rantanen and the captain of the Boston Bruins. I mean, it's a long list of guys that are going to be UFAs. So let's just start in Toronto because that's the one that always fascinates me the most. What are your expectations? And if you don't mind starting with Mitch Marner and John Tavares as we change calendar years and we get close to the trade deadline or them becoming UFAs in July?
Well, they're two totally different conversations when it comes to Mitch Marner and John Tavares. The Mitch Marner thing that's been on the back burner for a while. To my knowledge, I don't know that either side has engaged in any substantive discussions so far at any point this season. I think both have been really comfortable to let this play out. Marner's having another all-world season. You could make the argument this is arguably the best that he's had. He's helped carry this team to a strong record while Austin Matthews has been out. And he's been so good that, I think it raises some significant question marks about what the Leafs do next and how they view this. But it's complicated, and so much of it feels like it's predicated on playoff success. If this team doesn't have the success that it needs to have in the postseason, he's the only guy that's unsigned. He's the easiest guy that and you end up moving on from. So I don't know if that points the finger at him as the scapegoat or what. I think everyone wears that there if they do go down that path again and can't win in the playoffs. But Tavares is different. Tavares he's having a great year as well. He's older. He's not going anywhere, doesn't have interest in going anywhere, is willing to take a significant pay cut. But the big key that you're going to hear with Tavares, and you're going to hear with so many other pending free agents, including RFAs, is going to be, what does the cap look like for next year? We want to understand percentage of salary cap. And I think it's not to say it's less of a big deal with Tavares, but I think he's certainly willing to take that, that salary cut. It just depends how big of a percentage it is. And then when you look at it, he wants to make sure that at the end of it, that he's still, of course, being respected. And of course, the Leafs will do that. He's done almost everything for them, including relinquishing that captaincy. No doubt that he's going to be there moving forward. The question is just at what AAV.
So let me just hit you with one follow-up, and then Johnny, you're welcome to jump in with Marner. Because it's a new general manager that really isn't tied to Mitch Marner, is it okay if he walks as a UFA? Because the thing that I've continued to say is, like, how can you how do you roll the dice and let him potentially leave for nothing when, again, yes, he has no move, he has protection, but like, how do you not at least figure out, are we in the same stratosphere? Because if we're not, then
it's not about money. It isn't. Like, at some point, look, Mitch Marner is already highly paid, close to $11 million a year. If he gets a raise, it's not going to be by a ton because he's already really well paid. That it's not really about dollars and cents. It's really about fit, and it's about success. And it's about, at some point, this team might have to change something up. He's been this is no shock to anyone. He's a really poor playoff performer. He just is. It's a fact. How come you mentioned another pending UFA, Mikko Rantanen? He's got 100 playoff points in 82 career playoff games, has won a Stanley Cup. Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, all these guys take their regular season game and get to the next level. Mitch Marner and the rest of the Leafs, he's not alone. The rest of the Leafs, they go from point per game guys or north of a point per game guys to south of that. And it's just not, it's not the same. They can't, and it's been different things at different times for the Leafs over this run. One year they couldn't defend, one year they can't score. And they've been short series as a result. So short stays, I should say, that it's been entirely disappointing for a team that however many years in a row you have 100+ point regular season and then can't get the job done in the playoffs. And so that is what stands out. It's not about, whether it's 11 or 13 or however many years it ends up being. That part is largely academic to me, because that part you just sort out. But to this point, I don't think the Leafs have been ready to make a commitment to Mitch Marner because they know that it's all about playoff success, and vice versa, getting that same sense. I don't think Mitch Marner has been ready to engage in conversation with the Leafs either, as much as he wants to stay and be part of the solution.
So it feels like you're saying this is going to kind of come down to being the Leafs' decision. Is that a fair categorization, more than it's going to be Mitch Marner's decision?
Well, Mitch Marner is going to have, if you're asking about a trade, Mitch Marner is going to have to play a role in it because he has the full no trade, no move.
Would they ever, coming up to the trade deadline? Sorry, Johnny, but this Mitch Marner thing, like, I can't really let it go.
It's okay.
But is there a world where you could actually see him moving at the deadline?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Johnny.
Thank you. While we're on the topic of the Leafs, though, I do want to stick around with Austin Matthews. And, if you're talking about Austin Matthews in Four Nations, if you are the Leafs, are you going to let him play in that, knowing that he's not healthy right now to play for them? Like, how does that work with this tournament coming up if you're going to take that risk?
Well, first off, he kind of gave us a slight hint or
That he's
more
not
of a
gonna
hint.
play?
No, that he, over the last day or so, basically saying, I'm not sure if it's going to be healed or not.
Mhm.
And it might be something that he's dealing with all season. This doesn't look like a quick fix. And so that, I think, raises the next level of questions that you're asking about Four Nations face-off. This is a guy who has really struggled. I think, if rest can help him fully move past the injury here's the quote board. I don't know. I hope so. I mean, that's a tough quote to wrap your brain around, because he has had a lot of rest relative to games played over the last 6 to 8 weeks. And they're trying to give him every path possible to heal this up. And it just seems like it's not cooperating. So here's the other part of Four Nations, though. How do you tell him no?
Well,
I mean, you can,
yeah,
but it's also a league event. I mean,
I don't know. And it's
take
so
out one of
important
the
to the league,
massive
obviously, if he
stars.
doesn't play, right?
Yeah, but
league
if
needs
I
him to
were
play
the
in that.
Leafs, I would need him to be playing for a couple weeks before that tournament starts.
Well, I feel like I remember last year Jack Hughes was dealing with an injury before All-Star, and people were wondering if he was going to play in the All-Star
Totally
game or
different.
not. So I
All-Star doesn't
agree.
count.
I agree that's different, but the premise is almost the same, right? Like if
No,
you're playing in
I
something
don't
that's
think it is.
exhibition, if you're talking about playing in something exhibition, it is exhibition. Let's remember.
That
It
true.
is, but it's different when you're wearing your country's colors. Look at
But if
Colby.
it's in the
Colby's-
interest of the
Colby's-
Toronto
it's
Maple Leafs,
quarterfinal day, and Colby's all USA'd out.
in the interest
Well,
of the
they beat
Toronto
Canada,
Maple
so
Leafs,
I had
though,
to do
like,
it.
if it's me, and I know, I think Kreider's been dealing with some injury. He's talked about a little bit this year with his back and whatnot. But if he's not healthy enough to play for the Rangers, let's say, I wouldn't go play for Team USA.
But the difference is Kreider's been in the lineup night in and night
No,
out.
I'm just using it an example, like me as the fan and like the Rangers. Like I'm just saying, like if I'm a Leafs fan, I wouldn't want Matthews going to play for Team USA if he's not healthy enough to play for the Leafs.
Well, if you're a Leaf fan, you're probably not a Team USA fan. So
That's true.
I understand where your thought process is. So I get it. But look, I think, again, you'd like to see him back playing for a couple weeks consistently before getting to the tournament. That kind of makes it a non-starter.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other end of it, if he says he's good to go, or if he says that he can play through it, I don't know how you tell him no.
Yeah.
You tell the captain of your team, who hasn't represented his country in best on best play, certainly hasn't had a chance to play against Team Canada in that type of environment, and you're going to say, sorry, you need to sit out. It's the exact conversation this week that the Eagles are having with Saquon Barkley in the record, which is you can go set the rushing record, but what happens if you get hurt and you aren't available to the playoffs?
Yeah. What would you do in that situation if you're Eagles management?
See, I think we've lost, this is just a general pro sports commentary. I think we've lost track of the idea that moments can be special. Only one team gets to win a championship. And, if you think back to other magical seasons, like whether you're a Rangers fan or whatever, team that you root for, there's something about that season that you'll remember forever. And so the chance that he has to etch his name in the record books against his former team this weekend, it might be the highlight of his career. And what happens if you don't win anyway? Then what?
I mean, I know, sure.
I will just say this selfishly.
No. I want this one. I know this record is different. It's not apples to apples. But if the Capitals clinch the playoffs and Ovi's 3 goals away with 3 games left, he's playing in those 3 games. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's just because he plays anyway. He's played in 96% of the available games that the Washington Capitals have played over the last 18 plus seasons. Mm-hmm. He just does. He's a horse and he plays. It's different for running backs. It's different for star goal scorers that look, it seems, and no one has confirmed any of this. It seems like Austin Matthews has had a wonky back for years now. If that's what this is that he's dealing with, backs are difficult and totally different. It's a totally different conversation than a fractured fibula. It's all like, there's a lot of things that go into making a determination like this. But when you take a completely healthy player and sit them out, that's a totally different story.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kobe, you can go.
I was just gonna say I want Saquon Barkley sitting somewhere nice and toasty watching the game on Sunday.
Why can't he get 100 yards in the first half and then sit?
Because to me it's just not worth it. I want that guy in the playoffs. He's been the Eagles' best player all season. So I'm just being a selfish fan right now. I totally understand that.
But how awesome would it be to be a fan at the last game of the regular season?
Are you going to
He's going to the
Are you going?
No, I've sold my tickets because it's now a completely worthless game. There's nothing to play for, and he's not.
Which is what scares me, because you get injured in situations like that. But look, I know we only have a couple more minutes with you, and I do want to I know we touched quickly on Mikko Rantanen, and I do want to get a little more information from you on that situation. But then I want to talk about Vancouver and the comments from Patrick Allvin. So if you could just give us maybe a Rantanen update and what you expect to happen there. And then let's go to Western Canada, because, man, it seems like every time that situation dies down a little bit, somebody says something to like juice it back up.
Yeah, and certainly some fascinating comments from Allvin. But let's start in Colorado, because, look, this Rantanen situation to me is the most interesting in the league that's not being talked about nearly enough. I don't think these two sides are close. I think the Colorado Avalanche have, drawn a line in the sand and have basically said to him in no uncertain terms, this is our internal salary cap. We're not paying you more than Nathan MacKinnon, and we're happy to offer you a deal that's just below that. And to this point, you can read between the lines. It's basically $100 million. He's in a spot where he feels like he's played at a level that, especially with the cap going up, and we just talked about percentage of cap, that he feels like the market for him is north of that, which it obviously is. He shares the same agent as Leon Draisaitl, and I could totally see Mikko Rantanen getting well north of $14 million if he were to hit the open market. That's north of that, because Draisaitl again signed a closed market deal without going to market with the Edmonton Oilers. So I don't know what happens there. A lot of people have asked the question, and let me tell you, a lot of teams have called the Colorado Avalanche about Mikko Rantanen over the last number of weeks since word got out that talks weren't going well. I still have a hard time believing, not all that different than the Marner conversation we just had. How does Chris McFarland walk into the Avs locker room and say, hey, Nate, hey, Kale, we just traded Mikko Rantanen. We just traded the third spoke of the wheel. I mean, it seems impossible, but I also think the Avs are pretty pragmatic. And if they get any hint over the next number of weeks that this season is just one that isn't going to work out for them, I could see that conversation changing. As for the Canucks, look, there's been so much made of this JT Miller, Elias Pettersson drama. How does this play itself out? Does one guy have to go? I'm not convinced that that's the case. I don't know that anything's necessarily different than it's been the last few years. However, I will agree with Patrick Allvin's comments in that if there is someone to go, Elias Pettersson is not played anywhere close to the level of his contract. And by the way, I think it's an important fact to point out that both of these guys signed 8-year deals, max extension deals, knowing that the other guy was going to be there for the long haul. So there have been no secrets here. He hasn't come close to the level that he should be at, commensurate to his pay in Pettersson. Miller has been way closer, and it has exceeded it, in fact, provided surplus value. I know Miller is significantly older, but I know which guy I'd be keeping.
Yeah.
Frank, I just have
you expect to see teams trying to make a trade for Elias Pettersson with how he's played, like to see.
Yeah, I bet there's some team out there that thinks that they could unlock that 105-point center again. Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one more question, Frank, and this is actually from Alex and Kingston in the chat. New York Rangers, buyers or sellers at the deadline, especially now.
We almost made it through a whole show without a New York Rangers.
It's not my question.
Man, and I was so excited too, because that's all I've been asked about. Right now they're trending seller, but I still don't believe that Chris Drury is going to sit back and do nothing. So I think they're going to be buyers for the long haul, but maybe not fixing this season, if that makes any sense.
So long term, not So they're not really going all in this season anymore.
They're not.
That
No, they're
narrative
not
is
thinking
lost.
all in for this season. They're thinking about what that looks like moving forward.
Okay. Well, thank you, Frank. That's all I got for you this morning.
All right, Frank. Look, it was good to get you back in the mix. Hopefully, we'll
I
get
do have
back
one more
in
thing. This is from Vic, though. Vic wanted to play a little clip, excuse me, from our first ever episode in honor of our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, the 1 year anniversary.
Good
Johnny,
content.
Are you one of the Jonas Brothers? Are you going to be performing?
I think that's a compliment, if anything. And I'd love to perform and sing on stage with the Jonas Brothers. Who wouldn't?
I bet you would.
Well, we know he'll be on the ice. We know he'll be doing his interviews, and like I said, he'll be wearing his Lafreniere jersey when he's interviewing Lafreniere. People are going to wonder, why is this guy interviewing?
Guys, these are nice chirps. I'm taking these as compliments right now.
That's
Things
the best
haven't
part
changed.
about Johnny. He doesn't even really understand when he's getting chirped.
Can we get a pulse check on Lafreniere? How's the road to 100 going this year, Johnny?
It's going to take 3 years.
If you add his points from the last couple of seasons together, maybe 100. So, Frank, I know you're busy. Go do your thing. We got to get off here anyway. I got to catch a flight to Maine here. Good catching up with you. Hopefully, we'll get you back next week. As I was saying, Johnny, I gotta get myself together here and get to the airport. I got Denver, Stan, Zeev Buyam, and David Carl against Maine. I do think in the open of the show, we're going to obviously have to hit on the UNLV thing. Like, I don't see how we can't not hit on it.
I met Jeremy Norman, the starting goalie.
I know you have story. Look, we didn't get to that today. Let's talk about the UNLV connections that you made at the Winter Classic. Let's talk about that on Monday's show because I think it's important. But yeah, Butchie and I are doing Friday night, 6 p.m., ESPNU, ESPN Plus, or Hulu or wherever you get those games. So I got to get to the airport. Let's hit Bet365, Johnny, and then let's wrap up the anniversary show. Wrap up the week. Hey, we worked all week. And we worked through Christmas week too. So I think we're setting a high bar for the show.
Snaps to us, but before we do Bet365, we got to do our Out West Worst Team of the Week.
Oh,
we
okay.
didn't get to that yet. We actually should have done it with Pat because now we're talking behind his back. But our Out West Worst Team of the Week, presented by Out West. New year, new wardrobe, guys. It's time to up your game with Out West this winter. Our new colors of the Sakara Performance hoodies are perfect for any winter occasion. From jogging on the trails to sitting on the couch, taking in the NFL playoffs, this piece fits your needs for everything. So make sure to use our code Cuppa, CUPPA, in all caps for 15% off your first purchase at Out West. Every game needs an outlaw. I'm wearing the Out West hoodie today. Kobe has his USA hoodie on, but he wears Out West almost every day on the show. And our Out West Worst Team of the Week is none other than the Chicago Blackhawks, who have been pretty horrible in their last 3 games. I think they went into Buffalo. They got smoked by the Sabres the day after Christmas or 2 days after Christmas, which Pat actually told me. They got into Buffalo at 6 a.m. They flew into Buffalo at 6 a.m. on that game day. So he said, like, before, this is going to be a tough one. Like, that's a tough travel day, tough to play a game the same day as well. And then they lose to Dallas 5-1 at home, and then they lose the Winter Classic 6-2. So it's been a tough week for the Chicago Blackhawks. But now we'll get into our Bet365 bet of the night, and we're actually going off the board here. We're not doing an NHL game. I'm going to back my guy, Michael Hrabal, the starting goalie for the UMass Amherst Minutemen. He's the starting goalie for Czechia in the World Junior, taking on the Canadians tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time in Canada. We're going Czechia money line. We're going against the Canadians. This is actually something that Vic brought up. So I don't know if Vic has enough belief in his fellow countrymen or country kids, whatever you want to call them. But we're going Czechia to pull off the upset.
So you don't think Canada is even going to get through the quarterfinals?
All the pressure in the world is on them tonight. If Hrabal comes out and makes a couple early saves, takes away their confidence, Czechia can pull it off. They're 3-1. Only lost to Sweden.
I hope Canada wins. I don't want them out of this tournament.
I'm actually going to shoot Michael a message right now and wish him luck.
I'd like to see Canada get through this game. So I hope you're wrong. You usually are. So the Canada has that going for them. And we'll see what happens. But it's been a good week. Good start to the new year. We had a couple of good guests today. We had a big audience. next week we'll get back into the regular swing of things, Monday, 9 a.m. We've got some more stories to tell you guys. Like we mentioned, the UNLV thing amongst another couple of little items, I guess, from this past week. But anyways, DFO live at noon, the sheet at 3. You guys know the lineup. Like the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but definitely like the show. There's no doubt about that. So we appreciate it. Great week. Have a great weekend, everybody. It felt like this whole week has been a weekend. So enjoy it, because next week we're all back to the real world, and it's probably going to start being freezing cold every day. So as always, thanks for rolling with us. We will see you back here 9 a.m. Monday morning.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.